I'm PJ Clark, and I work for Mesa County Libraries, and I'm over at the Fruita branch, and today I'm doing the art and soul of journaling. And it's my journey as I journaled through from my 30s to into my 60s now, and how it's benefited me. So I wanted to start with imagine. Just imagine what it was like before cell phones, computers, TVs, and how we communicated back in so long ago, how men and women, what did they start with? And we know through history it's been hieroglyphics on stone with word pictures, and also cuneiform, where they carved with a reed and stone, and also the scribes on parchment paper. It's very interesting that men and women have always wanted to communicate, and writing is one of the ways. And so I want to share my story of journaling. And it began, like I shared just a little bit ago, that in my 30s as a young mother and a wife and all the struggles that I was facing, I wasn't sure how to express what was going on inside of me, in my soul, which I have defined as my mind, will, and emotions. So as I share about the art and soul of journaling, I will show how I overcame these struggles through journaling. And then later on became art in my journals, and so many creative things flowed out of that. So I want to encourage you to see the value in journaling. It was the first art and soul connection, allowing my soul to connect on a deeper level. So when you're writing, and I'll be telling more about this, there's things that you don't even know are there until you start writing, the writing process. Journaling has led to the drawings of images of myself overcoming, such as climbing a mountain. Over here I have on my board where I drew that when I was on top of a mountain, and I had been doing some journaling, so that was some of the first art that flowed out of my journaling. Also the drawing below, just using quotes and color pencils. And then I'll get into some other ways of journaling where you can put down your goals for the year if that's something that interests you. So through my faith, prayers, and expressing my needs through writing, art, and creativity, I found new hope, and I began to create a culture inside my soul that gave me a voice, brought health and happiness to my soul. So journaling has always been an important part of my life for the last 30 years. And I think I gleaned from my mom. She would always, every year, have a photo album, but she would write in it. In a way, it was the history of our family through those pictures and words that she had. And I really respected that as the years went by, because I could go back to those albums and see as we were little children till we became married and had our own families. And then my dad had a very artistic bent to his quality, and I feel like the flow of art came from my dad. So a lot of it can come from your family history. And what I wanted to do now is lay a foundation of what journaling is. And it's defined in the Merriam Dictionary as a record of experiences, ideas, and reflections kept regularly for private use. And some people say, well, how's it different than a diary? Well, it's not a whole lot different, other than a diary is like a daily just activities. I got this from a website called Felt Magnet. A diary is a book to record events as they happen. A journal is a book used to explore ideas that take shape. So as we go through this process, I'll show you how a journal can be used for so much more than just writing out things you're doing daily. So my goal today is to help each one of you leave with a new understanding of what journaling is and the value it holds. And secondly, to be inspired to continue to journal, of course, in your journey of journaling, and to receive new tools resulting in a fresh new way of writing. This is a quote from Gayla Irwin. She said that creating art of any sort can be a backdoor means of accessing our souls. It provides a way to give space and freedom for the soul to show itself. So again, in the writing process, that inner part of us can be expressed. I wanted to start also with why we journal, the whys, the hows, the who, and the benefits of journaling. This is from the Huff Post 2015, gave 10 benefits. It stretches your IQ and increases vocabulary. It helps you to achieve your goals. Emotional health and intelligence is increased. It boosts memory and comprehension and ideas that you might have. It strengthens self-discipline. Habits are formed and recall is increased. It improves communication, critical connections to speaking, and reflective writing. It brings emotional, physical, and psychological healing and improves immunity. Dr. James Pennebaker, author of Writing to Heal, has seen improved immune function in participants of writing exercises. Number 8, sparks creativity. Writing brings up thoughts and ideas you never knew you had, and it unlocks the right brain activity. And 9, self-confidence is increased, and journaling about positive experiences increases endorphins and dopamine in the brain. It strengthens those neural pathways. And I have done some extensive reading about the neuroscience, and Dr. Carolyn Leaf is an expert and says that thoughts are like trees. As you're thinking, you are changing, adding, and removing branches. So our brains, she says, are moment by moment and day by day are being redesigned. It's amazing. So writing, and I'll share later about gratitude journals. If you're writing positive thoughts and doing your art, your brain is creating those branches that are positive and beautiful and growing. So that's another reason to journal. When and where to journal? Well, I like mornings best. I have a chair by a window and it has a table nearby that I set my journal on. My writing and art supplies are there, along with a separate notebook for my to-do list, because you know how it is. You sit down to do something and you're like, oh, I need to remember to do this. So I always have another notebook nearby I can write my to-do list on. How to journal? Well, basically using a pen and paper, it does show that writing versus digital communication stimulates and trains the brain in a way that the digital cannot. But I have journaled on my computer and I find it very beneficial as well. But I also like to just do the pen to paper. Another thing is make it a habit. Get your thoughts on paper. Don't edit, just write. I think a lot of people think they have to just write this wonderful thing, but it can just be your thoughts for nobody's eyes except for yours, and you just write. Other times you may want to share what you've written. Just start with a single line. And one thing I'll get to in a little bit here is there's websites out there that can help you find prompts that can get you started and ask questions that will help you. Maybe there's a certain area you're working on. So that leads me into the next thing is, what do you journal about? And I have over here, like I said, my goals for 2019, and I shared that I actually have achieved a lot of those goals. Obviously, we're well into 2020 now, but it's a fun way. I had that birthday card that was a really neat picture of saying play more, worry less. Well, I think that's good for 2020 as well. And just the 5 areas that I found are helpful to set goals to are your physical, your spiritual, your financial, maybe you have a business or your workplace, and then also just your creative side or a place of passion or interest. A gratitude journal. I know that I believe Oprah Winfrey is one, and I've heard many others today that write in gratitude journals. And I have done that myself. I've been challenged to do a 30-day gratitude journal. It's amazing how many things you just don't think and take for granted day to day. especially with what's going on in the world today. And it's a wonderful way to lift your spirit and soul and mind into a positive and grateful place. Also, for travel, they're very popular. If you're traveling, or let's say today or this weekend I went to RV and just nearby here, and it was beautiful, and I can write about what I saw. I'm with my grandchildren, my family, and it was a delightful experience. So that would be a great way. And then oftentimes I'll draw a picture of what's surrounding me. Gardening, nature, music. Maybe there's a time you're going through grief. I know that this time now, there's stages where it really was kind of a time to grieve over some things. But now we're rebuilding, and this is a great way to do it, is through journaling. Another one I read recently, yesterday, I thought was really neat, is a laughter journal. She thought of everything that would make her laugh or bring her joy, and I thought that would be a wonderful journal to start. So I wanted to get into, before we do the exercise, there's several websites I found that were really helpful, and I'm going to have a PDF if anybody is interested to these references and also resources, and also Mesa County Library and other libraries, and some of the books I'll be sharing will be there on that list. But Dean Bukhari had 6 journaling ideas that will make you better. One was to write down your goals every day. So he does these exercises almost every day. Then he keeps a daily log. 3rd, he journals 3 things he's grateful for. 4th, he journals his problems, and then he also journals those things that are stressing him out. And then he'll journal your answer to what's the last or the best thing that happened to you today. We started doing that with our grandchildren, and it's really a neat thing. They love to share what was the best part of their day. So these are some exercises that he used. Also, another website is called Lavender, which I found was a beautiful website. Her name is Aileen, and she's all about journaling. You can find every kind of journal. She sells little journals, and she's a delightful young lady. And some of the journals she had was a doodle journal. I know when I did one of my children's story time, I did Mo Willems, and he does a lot of doodling. He did a really cute thing during the time we were quarantined with kids on doodling, and it was just a delightful thing. Poetry, song, and journal. Journaling the songs that maybe come to your mind, or if you have poetry in your heart. She also has one in the morning and in the evening journals. Her art journal, what we were saying earlier, don't edit, but just let your brain unload your thoughts and have no filters. And then she also, I thought was interesting, had a journal on her current self versus her future self. And I think that's really an effective way to write and think, okay, this is where I'm at today. I'd like to be this way, in 6 months or a year. And a 3rd website I found was called the Bliss Bean. Now her name is Beatrix, and she has, again, I'll have this on the PDF, she has a free resource where you can get 75 journaling prompts, which I did download and printed out. And and I'll share some of those prompts when we do our journaling exercise. Another thing I wanted to share was about famous people in history who have journaled. Many of them we are very familiar with. One was Leonardo da Vinci, who did inventions and art. He was a painter, sculptor, architect, engineer. He kept notes and drawings of his studies, ideas, and inventions. And over 7,000 pages they have in archive. The notebook features many topics including mechanics, the flow of rivers, astronomy, optics, architecture, and the flight of birds, demonstrating Leonardo's intense curiosity. The manuscript in Italian is written in Leonardo's characteristic mirror writing, where he writes he was left-handed, obviously, from left to right, or right to left, I'm sorry. And I have a book. This is available at the Mesa County Libraries, and it's called Leonardo da Vinci for Kids, His Life and Ideas, 21 activities. And I just wanted to share that he not only was an incredible artist, he had incredible drawings of inventions and just his thought life. And this is really, even though it's a children's book, I found it really helpful in how not only journaling what can flow, the endless, limitless ways you can journal. I thought these were beautiful pictures of the anatomy. Were so intricate, and the drawings in those. So this is a fantastic book if you ever want to check that out, for kids too to do. And I'll get into that where they can journal. I also have a little bit from Lewis and Clark Expedition. We're all familiar with that, and how they traveled across the United States of America and journaled their whole expedition. So not only is it inventors and artists, it's expeditions. And they had intricate drawings in there about what they did and quotes about what they were dealing with along that whole journey. It was just an amazing journal of that time frame. Also, I have a book here by Beatrix Potter. Let's see, I guess I gotta pop up on this one. This is available at another library, but I found this a beautiful book that they were able to make some copies of her work, and this is where she formed Peter Rabbit and the wonderful stories about Peter Rabbit. And there were actually people in her life that represent some of the characters in those stories. But if you ever want one where it has her writing, and they copied a lot of what she was involved with nature, you can see these people were just amazing, curious individuals. And then since they made record of them, then we're able to look at them today. So these are just some examples of how she traveled, of how she found Peter Rabbit, and how he became a friend to her. And then later in the book, it talks about a gentleman that actually represents one of the main characters in her story. So it's just a wonderful little booklet. It's got all sorts of fun pages. And again, this one is called Beatrix Potter, A Journal. I think it's from the Town of Vale Library, but you can order that on our website. And another famous one, of course, is, even though that's called a diary, is the Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. And we know that this documents history in a way that she never thought would be used in today's world. It was just her notes to her friend. And it's very eye-opening of that time in history. Again, a very famous book, and that you can get at our library as well. And just some other examples. This is Anne Broyle's Journaling, A Spiritual Journey. So there's many, many resources out there. Here is a book. This isn't necessarily about journaling, but it was so inspiring to me because it was about repurposed library books by Lisa Acapinti. And she does have a page in here, but I really love this book. It just inspired me to use some of these old books that we may have, and you can create your own journal there. So she has information about that and so many creative other things. Here at the library we had a display of these repurposed books, and I think we just recently had a contest, and it's an amazing, beautiful thing you can do with some of your old books. So great ideas in there. This one is Make Your Own Idea book with Arnie and Carlos, full of beautiful examples. If you just need some ideas, they have drawing in this, they have pictures from magazines and how to do it, all sorts of different ideas for travel. This one's about family and genealogy. Many beautiful examples. Here's one, a stamp idea book. Endless ideas on what to create here. And they use a lot of paper and different colors and yarn and oh my goodness, it's it's abundant with information. So this was kind of a new gem I found. Make Your Own Idea Book by Arnie and Carlos. That's available at our library as well. Right now I'd like to share some of my own journals. For myself, I have, this is my art journal. I basically just use pencil drawings in here. So they're kind of light, you can't see them really well, but it just shows that I have many pages where when I was moving here, I put new beginnings, and this is a picture of the book cliffs. Or this is me dancing for joy, for the new that's coming. So art notebooks are a wonderful thing to have. I have lots of different types here, again, that I've had over the years. These are probably the last 15. This journal was used for studying. I would do a study, and then I also would write, well, out of this study, what am I getting about myself? That I want to be full of passion, full of peace, full of wisdom, full of joy. And so that's something I'm always working on and studying. That's a passion of mine. So I think that was it out of this one. But you can see that all these pages are just written, not all neat and everything, but having all sorts of ideas and thoughts that I may have. Just like this book says, dream big, do what you love, stress less. You can pick your own journal. Like this one I got at Barnes & Noble. I mean, they always have them on sale on their bargain rack, and this one was like $3 or something. And this one I had for just thoughts that I had, and I had a drawing in here I wanted to share, but I don't know if I marked it. But again, just find something that's beautiful to you. Like this has a beautiful butterfly. And to me, that's just representing change and beautiful things in my heart that want to be expressed. This one is one a friend gave me, and it's for, well, this was something I wanted to copy, but you know, you can journal. This is that love chapter in the Bible, 1 Corinthians 13, and I used it as a circle with all the words, and it was just kind of a fun way to do that. And again, I just use these journals for being creative, or for study, or using positive affirmations. And this one here is one I went to a class, and you could make your own cover. So those are available as well. So you paint it, and then you just put it on there, and then it's got this little holder here. So it's another way to have a fun thing. You could get some friends together and do your own journals and write something in there about your friendship. I thought that would really be a neat idea. And this one my daughter gave me is an idea journal. And here's a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson: "Thoughts are the seeds of action." So I liked that. And back here, I started, because I would be telling her all my ideas. So these were some names for some books that I listed. Then I started listing my top favorite movies, the songs I love, the food I love. Let's see, I had another page in here. Yeah, my friends, and just ideas, just lists of things that I enjoy in life. And one day maybe my children or grandchildren will take a look at this. But again, the sky's the limit on journaling. You can see I'm very passionate about it. And so the last one I'll share, and then we'll get to the activity here soon. This one a friend gave me, and so that was where the 2019 came from. And then you can just do, I have a friend, because I do a group that we journal together, and I showed them this, and I said, this is my 2019, these were my goals. And so you can just get magazines that you love with beautiful pictures in them, cut them out. Again, you could just have a party with some friends, and just write words here like fulfilling and freedom and times of refreshing, transformation, things that nurture me. And so we all did a little, you can call it a vision board or a dream board, but this is like a little miniature one. And it's just really fun to do. It's full of color. You can see where it's really a creative thing to do, that anyone could cut out pictures and just write words there. And one of the ladies has an entire book that's full of these kind of pictures, and she just sits and it makes her so happy. So it's a wonderful thing to do. Great ideas. Okay, before we do our journaling exercise, I just wanted to touch a little bit on, I did share this book for kids, and then this is something I found at a website for children in journaling. Now, all I did was go to the dollar store. This was maybe, $6 for all of this, $6 to under $10. And you can get a composition book. I'm going to start this with my granddaughter, who's 5. And it's got the lined paper, and so each time she comes over for a visit, I'm going to have her start documenting things. She's 5 years old, which is a delightful age, and just have some nice colored pencils and crayons. Give her some paint. They have these little construction pads, that she can cut out and make some neat things there. And she's starting to write, so she can put words in there as well. And then also, I think teens could really benefit from it too. And the website is called Very Well Family. And they said journaling is good for children who are reluctant to write or speak. It's an outlet for those who have trouble expressing their needs verbally and making decisions. They can look at interactions from the day and explore them more objectively, and can be used as a storytelling tool. So what words work well to paint a picture, improves their written communication, their spelling, their grammar, reading skills, and helps them to identify feelings and emotions. So many benefits for teenagers as well. So get together with your friends and kids together, and they could all do a little journal activity. It'd be a fun thing to do. All right, I think I'm ready to do the journaling activity. So what I'd like to do is, there's actually a couple of questions, and I thought we could take 5 minutes to write in a journal if you have a piece of paper and a pen. But one of the obviously ones is the quarantine. Things like, what have you learned? What have you missed the most? What strengths and weaknesses in yourself maybe you discovered? Or what did you enjoy doing the most? I found that I planted a garden. It was very satisfying. What was the hardest part of it? Well, being isolated, obviously. What are you doing to take care of yourself? Are some things to think about, and how are things different for you now? So those were some questions you could ask yourself about that type of prompt. Would be the quarantine, obviously. Another one would be, what are 5 lessons you've learned in the past week? Life is full of lessons, and it's helpful to write them down, no matter how small they can be. So that's from the Bliss Bean. That was where I got the 75 prompts. She had lots of great ideas. Or write a letter to someone you really admire, what you learned from them, how they've inspired you. Or another prompt would be, write 3 words that describe your dream life and explain them. Write them down somewhere, and maybe even put them on 3x5s, and that's what I'll talk about after we do our writing exercise. So I hope I've shared some things that would help you do that, and we can write those down. I'll do the same, and we'll just take a little 5-minute break here. What'd you think? How did those 5 minutes go? Did you discover some things? Were you surprised by some of what you wrote down? Maybe you were just getting started, or maybe you struggled with just getting a sentence out. It's all okay. It's part of the process. And I hope I've inspired you to journal, not just today, but to keep the journaling process going. I think you'd be surprised. And again, so many books and resources to help you on your journey. And I wanted to close with just a challenge for you to number one, give voice to your words and do write them down. Sometimes I write them on a 3x5 card, and I'll keep it in front of me. I'll have it over by my table where I do my journaling, just to remind me this is what I gleaned from my writing last time, or help me to remember this in my mind, to keep it in the forefront of my thoughts, some positive things. Also, commit to 3 to 5 days a week. That's about what I do. I get up early in the morning and I'll write. Sometimes I'll write a little bit, just depending on the time that I have. But I do try to give myself at least 15 to 20 minutes before I move on. The 5 to 10, 15 minutes of journaling is an investment in yourself. And I hope that maybe you could do, which I would love to do and have done, is just spend an entire morning journaling and just letting things flow with the art. That's when I have a morning like that, it's wonderful. I can not only write, but I do art, and I get inspired. And it's a wonderful process of soul care for yourself. And also, you could even do a weekend retreat. I have a friend and I that want to do a retreat where we're just writing and doing journaling with some other ladies. And I think that could be a great benefit as well. So those are some of my challenges to you. So I hope you've enjoyed this talk on journaling. I'd love to take you into deeper work of journaling, where again, there's the doing a vision board, or mind mapping they call it, or a dream board. They're really fun with the pictures from magazines and that sort of thing. So many things to look at. And that leads me to the Mesa County Library website. We've of course got the summer reading program going. It started June 1st, but you can hop on board anytime. And we have some free prizes and all sorts of wonderful things, that lists and ideas for you if you want to look at the website. Also resources there as far as the whole library opening up again more and more, and what's available to you through the Mesa County Library website. So I hope you have a great day. Please start that journaling process, and I'll look forward to hearing some good stories from you. Thank you so much.